I'm Michelle from Belladonna. I'm one of the designers, one of the owners. Our other designer and owner is back in Richmond, Virginia because her daughter turned 6 this weekend. It is very exciting. Otherwise, she would be here. But last year they had a very sad COVID birthday party where all of them had COVID. So, yeah. So they're trying to make this year extra special. So that's why she could not come. And this is Sam.
Hello, I am Manager Sam. I do paperwork and corralling of kittens.
Yes.
And I do our earrings now.
Yes, she herds us, and we are a very difficult group to herd. We have Megan over here, who is my girlfriend. She works as a booth babe and also just kind of does this type of
And our web designer.
stuff, yes. All right, let us start. So welcome to Belladonna Between the Ruffles. We meant this panel name to have sexual innuendo and not all at the same time. And
By the
we'll
way,
find
this
out
panel
why.
will be slightly PG-13.
Yes. So we'll try to keep it at PG-13 and not go any further than that, and that's what we're doing. So, this here is a picture of Rachel, our other owner and designer, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about how Belladonna became what it is now. So back in 2003, Rachel and I went to our very first anime convention, and this is our like really ancient photo from some kind of flip phone way back in the day. And we started out cosplaying together. We would make clothes together. She made a lot of like Ren Fair stuff. But it really wasn't until around 2011 when we started actually getting more into Lolita. I think we really learned what Lolita was around 2005 or 6. And so this picture in 2011 are our very first Lolita dresses we ever made for ourselves. And I put it in quotation marks because I don't know what we were doing. Rachel doesn't look that bad. I look a little questionable, but that's okay. This is where we started. We all start somewhere. So, in the time of 2011 to 2012, we have what we call before Belladonna. Because before we formed ourselves as a partnership, it was originally me and my ex. And after that went down, what ended up happening is when we split, I moved in with Rachel, and then that's when we actually formed ourselves as a partnership. So I had to leave my old name, which was originally Atelier Enchanteur. And if any of y'all know who Toshi is, because she just had her panel in this room, this is also a picture of when we met. I was the first person to ever put Toshi in Lolita. This is literally the convention that I met her. We met through a mutual photographer friend, and he was basically just like, I think you would get along with this chick. This chick is crazy. So I think y'all would have a fun time, and so we became friends online. And a couple days, or maybe a week before that year at Otakon, she posted something on Facebook saying, does anyone have any room? And I wrote, well, if you want to sleep on my apartment floor, it's free. And we're like 20 minutes away from the con, so that's how we actually met. We met at Otakon itself, and then she drove to my house with like some chicken nuggets, and she ate half of them, rolled around on the floor, petted a cat, and then went to sleep. And I was like, do you want a pillow? But she was already asleep, so I... And the other thing that's really funny about our meeting is that I was doing my makeup the next day, and she was putting on hers, and then she looked at me like, girl, what are you doing? But she was very nice about it, because I kind of knew how to do makeup, but not like now. So this was our kind of gray up phase. The print on here is from Amelia's locket. Back here, I did not have a tablet to draw on or anything, so the original Amelia's locket print was done with a mouse and Photoshop, and that's it. What you have up here in the corner is an unreleased print. It was unreleased because half of the artwork was my ex's, which is why it never really went anywhere. Rachel came down the night before. This is Rachel's youngest sibling. That's over here in red. See my, they probably, yeah, they can. Okay. And then this is our friend Lauren, and she shows up here and there in our early years. But basically what happened was Rachel would come up, she would help me sew, and then we would go to a photo shoot. So she was always involved in this before we were ever like truly legally in a partnership business. And then down here are some looks from my very first runway. Around this time, I did a runway in the middle of Baltimore. It was in West Baltimore, and since y'all are here, I imagine you have no idea what that means. But West Baltimore is a very like high crime, like bad crime kind of area. So when I tell people in the US that my first runway was in West Baltimore, they just kind of look at me like, what? I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, but that was it. So 2013, Rachel and I were living together. I was actually sleeping on the floor of her craft room, and we formed this partnership. And the very first thing we did, for whatever reason, and I could not tell you why, we did Richmond Fashion Week. It's not this big thing like New York Fashion Week. In the US, you have like, everybody's like, wow, New York Fashion Week. All of these cities across America have their own fashion weeks. They're not as like a big kind of thing, but they're also not that small either. But it was free. You know, New York Fashion Week, in order to get in there, you have to pay for like the space, and you know, you're shelling out like a good $50K at least. Back in 2013, I have no idea how much it would be now. But Richmond Fashion Week was totally free. They cast your models, they put them in there. We had this weird period of time where we were taking cosplay commissions, and that's what this nonsense cupcake thing is. This is one of those items that we will never make again in our life. We have buried it underneath all kinds of other stuff because we're just like, this was horrifying. But
this is the first time we've publicly shown this picture. I have been forbidden from showing this picture in any of our live streams on our Discord.
Well, what happens
we allude to it, but we don't show this.
Every time we show this picture, people are like, I want that, and we're like, no, no. Because these outfits, they're actually like, the blouse is separate. They're an apron cupcake skirt thing. The cupcake itself has built-in petticoat layers. And then there's this like ruched cupcake lining kind of stuff at the bottom. So you don't actually need a petticoat to wear. But anyway, the point is we used to take cosplay commissions. We had a bunch of people who would commission us. And finally, after the whole cupcake nonsense, we were just like, that's it. We're not doing this. We are done with this. This first picture over here is like this weird dip-dyed overdress thing. We originally were a very like classic styled brand. So you can kind of see the evolution of, at this time period, classic Lolita was like the peak form, like OTG classic was what everybody wanted to buy, and that is also what we made. So you can watch us go into Sweet Lolita, as Sweet is now like the peak thing. But this is an old picture of Rachel at KatsuCon. We made these really crazy, weird looks. I have no idea what possessed us to do this, but we did it, and there you go. So, Twilight Twinkle Jelly was our first print release, officially as Belladonna. And one thing that we don't have pictures of is in that Richmond Fashion Week fashion show, we actually made swimsuits, and I don't know why. And so this is like a concept of one of the swimsuits we made. Rachel now has all of the swimsuits, and she does pole dancing in them, so make that make sense. I don't know. There it is. It exists. We will never make swimsuits again. So you can, there's like several things we will never make again. Cupcake things and swimsuits. So we're up to 2. There's more.
We will, however, make more Twilight Twinkle Jelly.
Yes.
When we get around to using fabric.
So I'm actually wearing the rainbow version, but the original version was printed on cotton and had like a cotton on nylon mesh lace. And when I redid the print for a future release, which I'll talk about later, we now have it printed on chiffon instead. Why did we go back? We need to go forward. There we go. So the second print release for Belladonna was Amelia's Locket. I actually took the old original print file that I did with just a mouse in Photoshop and I refurbished it. I don't know what word to use here. But basically I made it a lot smoother, it looked a lot nicer, everything came out crisper. We took out one of the colorways because nobody had ever bought that colorway. And so here you can see us in 3 different colors. This picture over here in the red and navy is at Frill. Frill existed as a convention for like 3 years? 3? I think so, yeah. We didn't actually go to Frill, we sent clothes and it was modeled and here she is. So this is still 2013. So we get to the summer of 2013. Up here is Megan and I at Pride, at Capitol Pride in DC, and that's actually when we started dating. So there you go, we've been dating for 10 years. We also went to AWA in Atlanta, Georgia, and this is the runway from that, as well as one of the pictures of Rachel from that. We had this time period where we would make really ridiculous, stupid headpieces and use them as runway looks. So she has an entire fake foam buoy, I guess, with like a bunch of other weird junk hot glued onto it. That was like the era of...
You guys would play a game of going to a store and
Yes.
just putting every object on their head. Like,
Yeah.
is this a headpiece?
Is this a headpiece? And that's what I was playing down here. I have a bird cage on my head with several fake birds and a bunch of flowers. And yeah, so I don't know. When we were young, we were into giving ourselves migraines. So there you go. This is the end of 2013 here at NecoCon in Virginia Beach. And then right here is wrist cuffs. So wrist cuffs are a thing that became like a staple of our brand. We have so many of them. These are actually the first pair of wrist cuffs I ever made. These wrist cuffs have seen a lot of things. I had this one moment at a convention where I dropped one of my rings into the toilet and then without thinking I reached in to get it. So one of these wrist cuffs took a bath in the toilet. It has been washed several times since, obviously, because that was really gross.
We're
But
still big into wrist cuffs and we'll have tons tomorrow in many different colors, brand new colors for us.
so you can see this is like our first incarnation of wrist cuffs, I guess. But we have, since the beginning, always dyed all the colors for our wrist cuffs. I used to dye black, but black is really hard to actually be actual black. So we do buy the lace in black. But the rest of the colors that we sell, we actually dye those. And I dyed them back when I lived with Rachel in her kitchen, and now I dye them in my kitchen, in my house. Which I don't think I included any pictures of that. Whatever. 2014 is UC Ode to Darwin, and that is probably one of our most popular and well-known print releases that we ever did. This is a photo that wasn't really used in any of our advertisements. This is my friend who did the photography for the set. Lee had a corgi who was very sweet. Her name is Lizzie. Lizzie passed away several many years ago, but she just wanted to be in the photo and this moment, and it just turned out super cute, so here she is. Ode to Darwin was the first print that I ever made to sell well. A lot of the prints that I had done beforehand, I just did them because I was like, this is a cute idea and it makes me happy. But this print, I actually sat down and I said, what's gonna sell well? Because we wanna make sales. And so I did that with that intention, and I was right. It did sell really well. We have some background photos here. Rachel did the makeup on our model Logan for this shoot. This is kind of like a behind the scenes guy This is Rachel like holding up one of those reflector thingies. Lee's over here chilling. You can kind of see we like hung up all these frames with like fishing line, I think. And so the picture itself turned out really cool, but the behind the scenes looks nothing like that. So that's why I wanted to give you guys a shot of like what it looked like in real life versus the editing. The other thing about Ode to Darwin's photo shoot that I don't have a picture of as well is that I ended up having this like incredibly horrendous allergic reaction. So by the time we got to the indoor photos, I was like having a waterfall out of my eyes, my nose, just everywhere. It was really bad. But it made for a funny thing. What's up?
May I interrupt? I just wanted to let people know the blind box event is starting, not to interrupt your panel if you wanted to know.
Thanks.
Enjoy the rest of your panel, it looks so cute.
So here you have the end of the year. Rachel's wearing Ode to Darwin. Rachel's wearing one of our other pieces. It was like this dip dyed damask thing. We went through a weird dip dye era where we took fabric and we literally like dipped it into a dye bath and then slowly pulled it out so that the bottom part had the most color saturation and the top part did not. I could not tell you what possessed us to do that, but we did that. And I believe there is one other dress like this dress that we made, and we were just thinking about it because we're pretty sure it ended up in Canada, and we have no idea where it is now. So I don't know if y'all ever saw that, but it exists somewhere. She also did this really cute, I don't know where she found this. Maybe in a estate sale. It's an actual teacup and saucer.
I found it at Goodwill.
You found, okay. Somebody found this somewhere, and so of course, this is the stupid headpiece. What can we get on our head era, and that is a continuation of that.
Thrift stores are a great place for the will it become a headpiece game.
I find this photo really funny because one time we were in a panel and somebody asked, what is the craziest thing you ever put on your head? And Rachel goes, oh, a teacup and saucer. And I was like, no, it was the ship buoy. What are you doing? I'm like, a teacup and saucer is kind of very Lolita. This is a picture of the first time we ever did any kind of fashion show in New York City. This is also another picture of Toshi modeling for us. This is like several years down the line. This is also a picture, like the makeup that we have on, Toshi did on us for this event. So that was super cool. And then this is a photo of us at Mood Fabric. If you've ever watched Project Runway, they send the contestants out into Mood Fabric and they have to buy things within a certain time limit and a certain price restriction. And Rachel's mom and her mom's bestie were in New York City with us to see our first runway, and then they went to a Justin Timberlake concert. They came with us to Mood, and her friend Wendy, for Project Runway, they shut the whole store down. They kicked out the regular people out, and then they filmed the contestants and stuff, and for whatever reason, every time we go to Mood, we always end up there when they're filming Project Runway. And we were very shy people about this. We were just like, oh, that's interesting. But Wendy walks straight up to Tim Gunn and is like, these two are designers. And we're just like, what? And Tim Gunn's like, oh my gosh, you guys should apply. And we were like, oh no, thank you. But yeah, so that's our I guess only celebrity claim to fame. This is the beginning of RuffleCon that used to happen in Connecticut in the US. And so our first RuffleCon runway included some pieces that never actually got sold because I'm pretty sure we still have half of these things in my basement. But we showed Darwin, we showed a stripe print. This stripe print, the fabric was so delayed that it got to my house, I think the day before we left for RuffleCon. So this pleating on this skirt was actually done by Megan, and Megan does not sew. But she pleated it, she pinned, box pleated it, and somehow through some wild miracle, it ended up absolutely perfect the way she had pleated it. So I was like, great, and just sewed it down. But there were a lot of printing errors in the fabric that from far away you can't see, but that's why that stuff was never sold, like actually. This is like a really weird era where I started to make wigs in addition to the wacko headpieces. So this is actually a wig that was originally for a cosplay. It was like some weird short gray thing, and I attached flowers to the mesh part because I was kind of reusing it, and then I sewed in hair wefts along the bottom, and that's what all the curls are. So this guy also lives in my basement, but on a weird styrofoam head thing. 2015, I'm calling the lost year because when I went to go put together the pictures for the panel, I couldn't really find a lot, so this is what I got. Basically, what was going on in that year, we had taken a lot of Darwin pre-orders and we were trying to get them out as fast as we could, but we had realistically taken too many orders. We also ran into a lot of issues. The printing process was really bad for the red and navy Darwin orders. I actually had to have them reprinted 2 times. And the second time when it was finally printed at the right size, the colors didn't actually match. So I had the skirt fabric printed separately from the bodice fabric, and the red matched up, but the blue didn't. So I ended up having to contact everyone who ordered blue and say, hi, would you like a refund? Your bodice fabric is not going to match. So that was a hot mess. The second hot mess about the Darwin pre-orders was that the ribbon trim that we had on them, and you can notice that this dress has lace trim at the bottom, but the ribbon trim got lost in the mail. It was a Japanese import, and so we had to have them send it again. And I think somebody who was just plain dyslexic was writing down our address wrong because they wrote it to 552 instead of 522 to FedEx to try and pick up the second package that was sent. And luckily, the lady who was checking my license versus the address was also dyslexic because she decided they matched even though they didn't. And that's the only reason I got the trim. So once I got home, I opened the package and I find out that the ribbon doesn't match the color of the fabric. And so that sent out another wave of emails of, would you like mismatching trim? Would you like the other color of trim that kind of coordinates maybe? Or would you like lace? And a lot of people chose lace, and that is what this picture is. This is from a customer floor coordinate layout. A floordinate, do we still call them that? I don't know. But we had a couple like random solids that were released that year, which is what is up there. And then we get to the next year of RuffleCon, and that is what this set is of our runway. Once we were done with the Darwin stuff, for whatever reason, I went ham on doing a lot of prints that have never been released for order. Because I was so burned out from Darwin, I just literally could not. So there's like 3 different prints in here that we have never put for sale. Yeah, I don't know.
I think I'm the only one that owns one of them.
Yes. Yes, you are. Yeah, Sam owns one of the blue animal crown pieces.
Which you'll see later in a picture.
Part of the issue...
and spoons too. We sold a sample of that.
That's true. The issue with, one of the other issues we had is that the fabric printer we were working with was so abysmal that I never wanted to work with them again, and so we were in the middle of trying to find another fabric printer, but this particular printer only really has a good chiffon to print on and nothing else. So some of the prints I didn't really want on a chiffon, and the re-release of Rainbow Twinkle Jelly, that is why that is on chiffon, because it actually looks good on chiffon, unlike some of the other things. So maybe one day in the future these will be released, but as of now, they were shown in 2016 and just haven't really seen the light of day since. And you can see here's a picture of Rachel at our booth. This was the year that we began to import bright Lily wigs and sell them. So back then we only had 3, and what you will see is a lot more going forward. We also started to buy fabric in bulk instead of just getting, small amounts. We would buy them by the bulk. So that's what this first dress is, as well as the one that Rachel's wearing. She actually, we had met a photographer back when we used to cosplay who was obsessed with her. So he actually came up and did this whole photo shoot with her for free. Because, I don't know, but I have no idea what happened to him. And I think I asked Rachel and she has no idea either. So, I don't know, that's the last time they worked together. I think. I'm not sure. We also started making bonnets.
Which we have 2 available this weekend.
Because this was also like the era of bonnets. I feel like nobody wears bonnets anymore, but I don't know. Well, we have them, they exist. They'll come back in fashion at some point, It all comes back around. This was a really funny event that we did because the fashion show coordinator was somebody we had met at RuffleCon. We just happened to be at the show. We didn't know they had a fashion show. She came into our booth and she goes, "I didn't know you guys were here. Do you want to do the fashion show?" And we were like, "Yeah. When is it?" And she was like, "In 20 minutes. And we were like, "Okay." And it just so happened that these 2 girls right here, they had just come into our booth and they had just walked out. And we were like, "Those 2 look fierce." So she ran after them and was like, "Do you want to model for them?" And they're like, "What? Sure." And so I don't know where she found the 3rd girl, but she did. And then Rachel just walked as herself. And so we had this very insanely impromptu thing where we just threw clothes on people that agreed to do it, and that was that. This is the only picture of Sam that you will see in this whole panel thing.
This is also the only time I have modeled and only time I will model.
And Sam, as she said, this is the blue dress that she owns, and she is the only owner of this print that we made once and have never made again, even though it's a very cute print. This is a very silly behind-the-scenes photo of...
But that's also when we started to push
Yes.
diversity in our
Yes.
models with doing more plus size.
Yeah, so one of the big things that we started around 2016 is, for us, Ode to Darwin was the first time when I designed a print that would sell. After that, what we started to do was we wanted to make a JSK and a one-piece design that would be sellable in the sense that it was simpler to make, but also fit a wider range of sizing. So this was the beginning of us going into making a size 1 and a size 2. The size 1 back then, I think, fit around a women's 0 to 10. And then the size 2 fit around 8 to 18, 20,
Yeah.
something like that.
And now we go even larger.
Yeah, so this was the beginning of that concept, and over the years we were able to see our clothes on more bodies, which allowed us to tweak the pattern ever so slightly, just so that we could fit more people.
But that's one reason why I was modeling, is because obviously plus size, and I was there.
Yeah.
Poking them.
Yeah, Sam was very great because she allowed us to make a duct tape form of her body, which I should have put it in here and then forgot to.
It currently lives at her house.
But it just lives in my house, and it has these 2 duct tape pieces as pasties right on the boobs of these 2 owls that are printed on the duct tape, so it's very strange. And she lives on this she has an embedded hanger, so we can just hang her onto this garment rack storage that we have, and she just hangs there. She just hangs out. This is the photo shoot of all of our unreleased prints, and you can see here is the 4th unreleased print of magpies and jewelry stuff. Yeah, so this was also at Lee's house. I was not here for this photo shoot because I had such a horrible time with my allergies the first round. I was not going to come back for a second round. but that is the same backyard. 2016 was also the first year we ever did any kind of guest appearance. So Kei-con in Dallas, Texas actually flew us out. We felt like true celebrities. It was really weird because all of a sudden they were like, well, we need you to do this autographing session. And we were like, nobody cares about us. And so Minori was also a guest, and Minori was next to us doing this autograph session, and I'm just like, okay, y'all are here for her. But we actually had a couple people have us like sign some stuff. And then we mostly had a bunch of people ask us who we were, which is fine. Because who are we? I don't know. This was at their tea party. And this is a picture of all of the people we picked as like best dressed at the tea party. And I could not tell you what the criteria was. Moss Badger, Jordana, the owner of Moss Badger, is over here. She was with us, and this is the owner of the Lolita Collective. So we were all just hanging out. So Christmas of 2015 is where we got the very iconic Belladonna's fist. All attendees of Kei-con will get the fist bump flag that we have here. And usually what we do is we make people fist bump the fist to get the flag. So this is the PG-13 part of this panel. When we first started out and we named ourselves Belladonna, we were completely well aware that that was the same name as a very famous porn star. And when we went and did our first convention, some random person ran up to our booth and they go, "Did you know that your name is the same as a famous porn star?" And we were like, "Yeah, we did." And they were like, "Oh." Like they thought they were going to shock us, but we were not shocked. Sam decides and finds out that there is a fisting tool modeled off of Belladonna's actual hands and bought it for me for Christmas. And
The Belladonna fist.
Yeah. She also has a magic hand. We don't own that. We only own the
Because
fist.
it looks like this.
Yes. Which this makes a much better wrist cup display, and that's why she got it for us. And there it is. Originally, we had this little cute little plate that we got from an estate sale, a little piece of china, and Rachel threaded an entire decking screw up the arm because this thing is like it's floppy. So she needed some support, and she has a screw inside of her.
So you can screw this onto other things with the same size bolt.
Several years later, the plate broke. And so Sam very nicely made us this new wooden stand for her. So there she is. And I included this picture because if you zoom in right here, you can see that that is where the fist is. And when I looked in the year prior to this, we did not have the fist, so that let me know exactly when we started using that. But there she is.
We occasionally play games with other vendors that don't know us, being like, "I heard a vendor has a sex toy as a display piece." And see how long it takes them to find it.
We've gotten a lot of interesting questions over the years about her, and we just let them know, well, it's Belladonna's. And now, we also had always joked that once we surpass her on Google search, we have truly made it. And I think we surpassed her many years ago because she retired anyway, so she's not really putting out new content. So there she is. And that is what that is. This was the next RuffleCon runway that we did. We went through a phase of kind of doing a lot of lace work. So all three of these dresses just have a ton of lace on them. Here is a picture of us at the end. We've always joked that this kind of is like, Rachel's like my dad and I'm like the pageant daughter or something. I don't know. But that is kind of where that went. This is our goofy little backstage photo. I don't remember who took this. Actually, I think it was Kyo. And you can see here for Kyo and Graydon, I did more of those strange, let me attach flowers onto really old wigs to reuse them. This year we also put wrist cuffs into the VIP bags for
I'm sorry.
RuffleCon. Yeah, and this is also marking the first time Sam ever truly worked with us in guest relations, because she kind of got us to be guests at RuffleCon, but we had to give
Bend over
them
backwards.
something. How many wrist cuffs did we give them?
Way too many.
It was a lot. And this is just the cream. We also gave them navy and we gave them black, but they just didn't photo as well, so I didn't include them. But like, it was a lot. It was a lot of wrist cuffs. 2017 was a really big year for us because it was the year that Rachel got her daughter. There's a picture of her and her husband at their bridal shower. Also, you can see the side of my face. We don't have really good photos from the shower because our friend Lauren, if you remember from the very back, who had been modeling for us, she is not a great photographer, but that's where I stole this photo from. You can also see Megan and I, this is when we bought our house, so there wasn't a lot of like Lolita related things happening. The other thing, I started having really bad health issues, and this is when our booth became basically Claire's, because I went down on doing earrings and had joked for a little while that this was like now just Claire's, but Kawaii. We set some clothes of anime. That's what these girls are doing right here. And then I really mean, like, I went ham on doing resin jewelry, earrings. We were selling a lot more imported wigs from Japan. We did something with the wrist cuffs. I don't remember exactly what it was. We're still using
did
the
the
same
deluxe.
colorway. Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
And you had the metallic.
Every couple of years, we kind of like tried to revamp them, but we were still dyeing them all. 2018 was a really hilarious year because this is when Katsucon begins to do their fashion show, which ended up being kind of like, it's technically during Fashion Week, so this was like us trying to do the most, basically. And this year in particular, Rachel she was pregnant, then she gave birth, and she was a new mom. And I asked her, what do you want to do for the fashion show? And she goes, do whatever you want. And for whatever reason, I did bridal. Don't ask me why.
Katsucon has become like our start of the year where we introduce our theme for the year and kind of show it throughout.
Yeah. Here's some behind the scenes stuff. Rachel's figuring out how to have a baby and sew at the same time. This is a picture in my downstairs work area. I worked on this black dress for 2 days straight, and at some point I took a nap under it and thought about my life choices. So yeah. We sent these photos off we sent the dresses over to Fanime. The girls were super excited to model them, and I just thought that these pictures came out so cute. And then later we did Otakon for the last time we will ever do Otakon because that con is a hot mess. And that marks where our probably the most iconic and ridiculous photo shoot we ever did. This was in the middle of Baltimore. This couple had these 3 row homes right next to each other, and they were set designers, and they did all the sets for anything ever filmed in Baltimore, John Waters films, The Wire, they were legit people. And so each of their houses were decorated into certain themes, and this house in particular was insane tchotchkes and just crazy Victorian stuff. There were also pictures of Divine hidden everywhere, which I thought was hilarious. But this is definitely our most iconic photo shoot. Definitely really the best thing we've done with Lee ever. This also marks 2018 was when Long Furby became an actual thing. So, for anyone who's wondering why long Furbies, Sam planted this seed in our brain at that time. This is also the year I started doing my own nails. Through my own health issues, I realized that I really like doing nails, and this is kind of like a turning point in my actual life because I go on to go to nail school, and now I work in a salon in addition to doing all this nonsense. Rachel also started pole dancing like a couple years before this, but I had nowhere to put that, so I put it here. This is a picture of her at a competition. She still does pole, and you'll see too in future photos, she starts wearing her pole shoes on the runways. This format of like going all out for Katsucon's first runway and then doing that all year long has continued since 2018, except every year we try to do something completely remotely not the same as what we did the previous year. So what is the opposite of bridal? A funeral. I don't know. So this runway was all black.
We also have Toshi in this one as well.
Yeah, Toshi's actually modeling this dress right here. She was super funny when she modeled it because she was just like, I don't usually wear things that are this poofy because I like to look small. And I'm like, but the poofier it is, the smaller you will look.
She also had like fake blood in her mouth.
Yeah, she came out as the end of the runway and she spat fake blood out. It was great. We didn't know she was going to do that. Love it. You can see some pictures of our booth. This is when we really started to level up our actual booth setup. We had a million wigs. We started to have a lot more clothes. We still had this full earring Claire's situation nonsense happening.
We still have that happening.
This is when I went to nail school. This is a picture of Rachel. Cora's now like a year old. I'm trying not to stab her with these things. This was in nail school. I actually wore Lolita at nail school for this really weird thing that I don't even know how to explain. That just, it happened. It happened once. 2020 is what we call a rainbow reckoning. So 2020 started out huge for us. We did this like really big pride runway. We were like, this is gonna be really cute. We had amazing sales, and then y'all know what happened. Because a month later, everything just went down. But we have these cute little backstage photos. We have one model trying to teach a new model how to pose. I actually made press-ons for all these girls, so that's what's going on over here. We also did probably our most inclusive runway that we had ever done to that point, as far as different races, different people, none of these people are straight, plus size,
like
inclusiveness. I don't think none of
Natalie.
these straight. She's not straight, she's fine.
Oh.
She's fine.
Joking straight.
Yeah.
None of them are straight.
Yeah.
No one's straight here.
Yeah, because the two dated.
Even this
wait.
new chick.
Yeah.
Even this new chick right here came out as bi too. Because they were all talking about it. They were like, nobody's straight. She's like, I'm not straight either.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
sweetie, slay. Love that.
And then a couple A's, yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, if you model for Belladonna consistently, chances are you're not straight.
Trances are your trans as well. Because half those runway also trans.
Like our top models, like the ones that we have used more than like 4 times,
All of them.
all but one are
Yes.
no longer.
Yeah.
Well, she's ace, but she's no.
Yeah.
There's only one that is still she.
Yeah. There's only one that is cisgender. We'll just put it that way. 2020 brought the mask ridiculousness. I made so many masks. We stopped counting around 400. So I don't know how many we've made, but we made a lot of them. And then this nonsense occurred. This was insane. So just so y'all know, I will be taking ice cream shop pre-orders here, a limited amount. So if you want that, you need to come see us when we have our marketplace shop open tomorrow morning. I am only going to take the regular rainbow skirt like this orders, and then we cannot do the bodice in yellow, but we can do it in any other color. And we can do it size 1, 2, and 3. Ice Cream Shop brought us into having a size 3. The size 3,
60 inch.
yeah, max 60 bust, max 50 something waist. I don't remember exactly.
But we can go above that if you're.
Yeah. And we do have several of the size 3s available to pre-order as well. We just can't really make them much longer. Like, we can't add a lot of weight.
60 inches is 152 centimeters, Michelle.
152 centimeter max. There you go. I think that is the thing.
Yes.
Yeah. We did so many different ice cream shop dresses. This is just a few of them. We started, yeah, we added in the black as well, so you can add a pop of color or not. Yeah, the bi pride guy. We can take orders for bi pride. Sadly, we can't take orders for pansexual pride because we are really running out of yellow, and that is the issue. We sent clothing to Japan. This is Kimae-gyu. She modeled it for us. It was super cute. She has released these photos like over time, and every time she releases them, people end up on her page like, can I buy this? And we're just like, do you have any time to make these things? This is some background stuff. I mean, this dress has 20 scallops on it, so we have to cut out every single panel, every single scallop. We have to face every scallop, then we press it, then we put lace on it. Like, this is a lot of work. And this also marks where Megan all of a sudden, one day, ADHD hyperfixated an entire dress designer thing, which you can still find.
I will have you know that I spent the entire afternoon on that.
I feel like a lot of people made a lot of dresses and dress combinations, and it was a lot of fun because it allowed people to visualize like what they were getting into. I did the sketches for Ice Cream Shop a lot longer before I had ever made it. So this is the original like concept idea. I found the fabric and I just thought that the orange and yellow in the fabric collection were really cute. And it's really hard to find good oranges because most orange fabric is crazy.
And then they discontinued the fabric.
Yeah. So that is the issue with that. This thing right here, this is real cute. She's never gonna happen. I don't know what she is. She was a fever dream. This right here is the original concept of Milkshake Shop, which we'll get to in a second. Here she is. She was not as popular. We can still make these though. We have a lot of the stripe fabric too, so if you wanted a pansexual pride in stripe, that could be done. Just not a dot. 2022 is when we finally started going back into doing conventions. So you can see Rachel and I hanging out at KatsuCon. We're selling masks. We're selling our Pride line still and anything that we had. We were more well-stocked than ever before. We took rainbow stuff to Boston. We had a good time. Everybody is masked. The twins happened. The twins were born before TechO 2022. And
July 21st.
They have met many fun people. Here they are with Hanui and Iris. Here they are with Rin. Here they are on their first trip. I buckled them in, safety first. We started making Furby nonsense. I actually originally wanted to make Furby stuff for 2020, but I could not actually get myself to do that. So it wasn't until 2022 I got 3D printed base plates. I finished them off so that they were shiny. I made molds out of them, and then I've been casting them out of resin. So all of our Furby stuff is like hand cast stuff. These guys were the first long Furby I ever made. And I only made 10 hats originally, a couple collars. I wanted to make them as kind of like wearable art, but I didn't think they were gonna sell. Well, they did, and not only did they sell, people were just like, how much is that guy? And I'm like, I'm attached to this one, it's my child. So we were on the runway here. We had the old Furbies of our childhood. The white one was Sam's. This red one is Rachel's actual childhood Furby. We didn't know that Rin was going to be the announcer for the fashion show, and we made the intro so stupid, and we would not have made it that stupid had we known Rin had to have that come out of her mouth. But she played it up because she went and stole one of these Furbies, snatched it straight out of Rachel's hand, went up there and was like, totally tubular. We were like, oh my God, what did we do? We did a little outdoor thing at Pride. I made a lot more Furby stuff. It only lasted through the first day of NecoCon, and I was like, oh, okay. That's what we're doing now.
So if you like that stuff, we brought an entire suitcase of nothing but Furby stuff.
Yeah. 2022 2023, this year's theme is the dumbest, stupidest thing we have ever done. And I fully blame Bay Area K. Bay Area K. This is your fault. They did something called January. We couldn't get our act together in January to actually do January.
They posted about it. I poked our group about
And
it.
then we had a whole dumb conversation about what if we made a Gene version of ice cream shop? That's stupid. We'll just make one. Yeah, okay, that went real well. But then we decided, let's do cows. Let's do country. We grew up in the fake South, I'm gonna call it that, in Central Virginia. It's like where the South begins in America. Listening to country music where we grew up was something only like people we don't, like unpopular people did. So that was not something we did. Why we now have transformed into listening to Dolly Parton and Shania Twain, putting it on a runway and doing a bunch of weird fake country nonsense. I don't know how we got to this point, but we're here. Here we are. We have Furbies. We have hoedown nonsense. Jasmine.
And we have Joel Jean.
And we have Joel Jean. Jasmine was living her idol life. Shania Twain came on when she walked in and she started lip syncing. And the entire audience starts singing along. And Rachel and I look at each other in the backstage like, they're singing. They're singing with Jasmine. What did we do? Logan rolls on doing her best Dolly impersonation. We go to Techo with the twins for the second time. This is the two designers of Metamorphose. She actually bought Furby stuff and she also just bought more. So, girl,
We sent a very large package to Japan recently.
yeah, so that occurred, and that is the end of our presentation.